So my name's Declan Patton, I'm from Australia and I train strongman at the Strength Edge. I've been training strongman for about a year, so I had my first season last year and this is my second season. So basically I moved to Canada and I'd mucked around with a few implements that I'd made myself at home on the farm. But then moving here I got in touch with Andrew Bollinger, who owns the Strength Edge, and he sort of took me under his wing as my coach, and he's trained me up, and so I've done 4 competitions now, and 2 second places, 1 third place and a 4th place, so pretty happy. So I recently competed at the YYC Fit Expo strongman competition, and so basically the YYC Fit Expo was a fitness expo here in Calgary, and attached to that was the inaugural Strongman Classic. And so the events for that one were sandbag carry for distance. That was the first event. Second event was the overhead medley. So you basically had axles, a log and kegs and a dumbbell. The third event was the deadlift, the max deadlift. And then the 4th event was the farmer's walk, so 100 feet. And then the final event was the Atlas stones, so increasing stone weight and decreasing platform height. Okay, so the sandbag carry is basically you've got 10 feet at the start in which to pick up the sandbag. It's unlimited time to pick the sandbag, get it to your chest, and then once you cross that 10-foot line, your walk is commenced. So if you drop the sandbag, that's it. The distance will be measured. And so you basically got to walk 50 feet to a cone, go around the cone, come back, go around the cone for as long as you can. So basically this event is untimed because nobody can carry a sandbag forever. So the sandbag we had to carry was 225 pounds. 2 techniques used on the day. The first technique, which is the one I use, basically pick the sandbag to the lap and then get a good bear hug and stand up with it on the chest, and then away you go. And you got to go as quickly as you can because you can't hold the sandbag forever. The second technique, which is a few guys used it in the competition, basically when you pick the sandbag you throw it to your shoulder, and then on your shoulder it takes the grip factor out of a bit. It's a bit easier on your arms, however the weight's still going through your body, so it's still tiring. And then the tricky part about that is you need to then, after you get tired when it's on your shoulder, you need to transfer it to your chest. And so one guy I saw do it correctly, so he transferred it before he got too tired to transfer it. But some of the other guys tried to do it, so they walked for as far as they could on their shoulder, and then when they went to transfer it to their chest, they just dropped it cold. So I officially placed second in that event. So the third event of the day was the overhead medley. So basically we had to lift a light axle, and then a light keg, and then a log, and then a heavy axle, heavy keg, and then a heavy dumbbell. So 6 implements, which is a lot of implements for an overhead medley. Now overhead is traditionally my worst event. Not that great in the overhead. I have reasonably strong shoulders, but compared to in the strongman world, my shoulders are quite weak. So basically, I've been training, the weights in the medley, and so my goal of the day was to get to the second axle, which I think was 215 pounds. So basically, first axle went up, went straight up because it was nice and light, and the log was just shy of 200 pounds. That went up pretty easily as well. I haven't really trained keg that much, so it was a little awkward. And so with the keg, the clean is the difficult part, but the press is the easy part. So it's opposite to some of the other lifts where the clean is the easier part and the press is the hard part. So basically, was quite unfamiliar with the keg. So the 160, the first keg, was a bit of a struggle. I wasted a bit of energy on that. And then I did the axle, the heavy axle, which was 215 pounds. And so I cleaned that reasonably easily, and when I threw it overhead, I sort of got stuck halfway, but I managed to grind it out. And the implement after that was the 200 keg, but because I hadn't been practicing in training and it was my first event, overhead event of the season, I thought I'd just leave that. But luckily, I've been training keg today and I've managed to do that 200 keg quite comfortably now, so I'm pretty happy with that. So it gave me something to work on. But it sort of left me mid-table that day, which was more than I could have hoped for. So the last event was the stones, my favourite event. And so basically, I knew some of the other guys and I knew some of them were quite good at stones, so I knew I had to go reasonably quickly. Because the stones is the last event, the order is determined by your standing going into that event. So I think I was equal fourth at that point. So coming in the stones equal fourth, and I looked at the point score and I'm like, okay, if I win this event, I've got a good chance of making the podium. So basically I knew what I had to do, I had to win the event. So the stones range from 220 to 320, so 5 stones, and the platforms started at 60 inches and went down to 42. So basically, yeah, just ripped through the stones, went as quickly as possible. They actually felt a bit lighter than I thought they were going to, which is really good on a stone run. And after it, I posted quite a quick time. I think, if I had been pushed, I could have gone quicker, especially my transitions between the stones. And I might have even been able to one motion the first few stones because they were reasonably light. But just for safety's sake and not dropping the stones, I lapped all of them and then stood up with them from the lap. So yeah, won that event, and that put me up into third. I think my performance was great. I couldn't have hoped for anything better. My goal was top 5 and I managed to come third, so exceeded expectations there. And in every event, I reached my goal. Except for the farmer's walk, I think I could have gone a bit quicker in that. But once again, I hadn't done it for 6 months, so I was a little bit unfamiliar. But it could have been a lot worse. I could have dropped it, or my grip could have failed. So overall, ecstatic about the whole day. And turns out 2 of the events I came first in, and that was the first time I've ever won an event, let alone 2. So extremely happy. So I train here at the Strength Edge, and I train here once, sometimes twice a week. So I work at the University of Calgary, and so basically I do my gym lifts there. So Monday to Thursday, I'm doing my deadlifts, my squats and my presses to try to get my overall base strength up. And then in the building where I live, there's a rowing machine, so I get a bit of cardio there. And then on either Saturday or Sunday, we come here for Strongman Weekend. And depending on which events we have in upcoming competitions is the ones we train. So my training group consists of my coach, Andrew Bollinger, and my training partner, Nick McMorrow, the Giant. And sometimes Ben Collins joins us as well, the group specialist. So basically, we all do slightly different events because Nick and I are in vastly different weight classes, as you could probably see. Today we're going to be training the yoke first up, because that's in an upcoming competition. Then we'll be doing some overhead, so a little bit of keg technique work. Hopefully going to hit the 200 keg today as a PR. And then a little bit of axle for some technique and some volume, just to hit the shoulders. And then we're going to head outside and do some stone pressing, which is, we don't have that in an upcoming competition, but it's a hell of a lot of fun. And then we'll finish it off with some stone carries, which is basically, once you've done the stone carries, you're exhausted, you've been out in the sun, and your arms and legs are shredded. So you pretty much can't do anything after that. So that's usually the last event that we train.
Yeah, I'm Andrew Bollinger. We're at the Strength Edge. This is my gym. So we started it up about a year and a half ago. Before then we were with Smash, Zach Chalmers. And we've come a long way since then. Now we have like a full set of strongman equipment, like everything that you'd want. We have tons of powerlifting stuff, and it's really a great place to train.
So yeah, a typical warm-up for me is a couple of minutes on the rower, just of light intensity. And then I usually walk to the gym as well from the bus stop, which is about 15 minutes. So that's a nice warm-up on a nice day. And then depending on what I'm doing first, I usually do a event-specific warm-up. So today we'll be doing yoke first. So my yoke warm-up will comprise of doing some lightweight, just some picks up off the ground, and then doing some slow walking with it. So that'll give me some event-specific warm-up. A lot of guys like to do, a lot of stretching and rolling out. But these are the same guys who are a bit less mobile and a lot heavier than I am, so they have their own warm-up. Whereas My warm-up's based on what I used to do in rugby.
So today we're having a training session primarily for Declan and Nick. They're both training for the Cranbrook Strongman competition. So Declan's been training here for about a little over a year, and when he came in, I basically just tried to help him out with the knowledge I'd gained because I've been training a little longer than him. So since then he's made some rapid progress, and I'm pretty excited to see how he's going to do with the contest.
You take a good grip like this and up, and then you take the yoke usually about 50 feet, and you may have to bring it back as well. So some events have light yokes where you want to move as quickly as possible. So you want a low pick so you get good clearance off the ground. And other events have a heavy yoke. So as Andrew explained before, you want the bar to be a little bit higher because it's going to be a harder pick and you're going to move a lot slower. So first up today we'll be doing the yoke. Now we have a yoke in an upcoming competition which is 600 pounds. So it's not that heavy, so I'll be looking to go quick and post a good time. There's not an issue about whether I can lift it or not, it's an issue about how fast I can go. So today we'll be sort of working around the 560 mark to try to work on that speed. I haven't done yoke for about 6 months. And it's one of those events you really need to get accustomed to because you basically have the yoke across your shoulders, you pick it up like a quarter squat, and then you need to take off. And then depending on the event, you'll need to put it down the other end and possibly turn around and re-pick again and bring it back. So with the yoke, there's a lot of weight going through your entire body, and during the whole time you're moving with it.
How'd it feel? Pickup is shaky?
All right. Yeah, a little bit, I mean, I haven't done yoke for 6 months, so
yeah,
a little bit shaky, but
I'm right there with you.
once I got into it, it went a bit smoother.
Yeah, it went fast. That was fast.
Yeah. So the second exercise we're going to do today is the overhead. So we'll probably be doing some keg and some axle. And so basically with the keg lift, I'm not that good at it. And so I actually just haven't had that much practice. So it's one of those events that's really technique based. You can't really muscle it up. I mean, you can to a certain extent, but you're going to waste a lot of energy and a lot of time.
It's not a press. Like, if you can clean it, you can press it. Speed, come on. There you go. So yeah, think of it like when you get heavy, we're kind of using heavy technique. Just try and pause at your shoulder.
Okay.
Just like go three movements. Lap, thrust up to your shoulder, and then pause.
Just like overhead.
Yeah. It's kind of like, it's sort of a imbalanced movement. So if you're always training the same way and you train keg a lot, like you notice we're always kind of pulling it up to the same shoulder, and you get some imbalances doing that. So I don't typically train keg very much. A lot of guys like switch sides where they'll like switch hands and go on the other side. But typically you'll be way better on one side than the other side. It's not like an overhead pressing movement, as I was saying. It's like if you can get it to your shoulder, like it's already, your hand's already here. So all you gotta do is just like a little bit of a pop, and then you got it locked out, and you don't even need like strong shoulders. But what you do need is like the ability to use your hips properly, which is really important in strongman. So basically, like, you can see as soon as we kind of raise it up, there's like a huge hip thrust that happens, and then you have to be able to kind of move your body like you're doing the worm kind of thing on the ground. So it kind of like creates like a moving shelf that the keg's kind of moving up. So it's sort of like lifting the keg the way like a snake moves on the ground or something, if that makes sense.
So today we might do a little bit of axle as well. We have an axle in a medley coming up. So basically it'll be a log for 5 reps, a keg for 3 reps, and then an axle for as many reps as you can during the 75-second time limit. So basically today we'll just be working on a little bit of volume. So I'll probably be doing, some sets of 5, just shy of 200 pounds. I'm really going to have to get the clean cardio up because, it's no good just working on your shoulders because you actually have to get to your shoulders each time, which can take a lot of energy. So that needs practicing as well.
We cater mostly to like strongmen and powerlifters, but now we have tons of people that are just ordinary people that are discovering strength athletics and how they can benefit from training for strength. So now we've got kind of like mostly people that are just being introduced to it, and we're kind of guiding them in the right way to really change their lives and make their lives a lot better. This is the one that makes you look stronger.
Walk him out.
How's that? Good. You've improved. Yeah, you gotta practice that, especially when you're tired. You gotta be practicing technique when you're tired. That's like so important. Because you kind of like lose a little bit of power and then you still have to be able to make it happen.
Yeah. And then after the overhead, we're going to head outside and we're possibly going to do some overhead stone lifting, natural stone lifting, depending on how we feel. The natural stone lifting, we don't have it in any upcoming competitions, but it's it's great fun and it's some really good training. You have to be really smart about it because all stones are different. Some are smooth, some are rough, they're odd shapes. And so you really have to figure out each stone and be smart about it.
So we're training some natural stones here. We're gonna do some presses and carries. So it's kind of like the original strongman movement. Stone lifting is like a sport all around the world. So what we're gonna do first is overhead stone press. So that's basically like you get it on your lap, then you have to like throw it up on your chest, and then you have to find a way to re-grip and lean back so that you can press it above your head. It's pretty challenging.
I think this weighs 170, not 160. I think I weighed it, but the difference is with a barbell, when you press a barbell, if you press out with your triceps, it'll go up as well because you're sort of locked in that grip on the bar. But with a stone, if you press out, you're going to lose your grip on it. It's going to come down on your head. Overhead stone press, the weights aren't nearly as heavy as a barbell, but they're a lot more difficult because you need to push solely upwards. So the best training for the overhead stones, I would say, is just standing dumbbell press, because then you don't have that barbell stability.
So basically, like, you gotta like take your last breath on your lap.
Yeah, and
you exhale a little bit right when you already know that you've got it completed.
Yeah.
Like, so you have to exhale because the clock is ticking.
Yeah.
And you'll pass out.
That's true. To finish off the day, we're going to do some stone carries.
There's a really good notch here.
Yeah.
The grip. And there's a really good one over here. Kind of right there. Actually, wait, no, it's right here.
Yeah.
This is how you lift it. But it's not quite what you expect because you got to kind of like choke down on this side a bit. It's not right up at the top. So
yeah.
Down.
Because then it'll just pitch. So am I around this side or around this side? I think around there.
Yeah, there's a really good spot. But then on the right hand, you got to go down a little bit from what you expect. There you go.
That is a really heavy stone. If I was going to organise my own strongman competition, it would probably be all stones. So start off with a Husafell stone, basically a carry for distance, and then probably move on to a natural stone overhead press. And then after that, might have some Atlas stones and then some natural stone loading. So it'd be all stones. If I had to put other events in, I'd probably put a yoke in, because I'm not too bad at that. I don't mind that. But I definitely avoid the logs and axles for the overhead press. So that was a typical training day here at the Strength Edge. Doing strongman, you get a bit beat up with some bruises and cuts and scrapes, but you know, it's all in a day's work. So if you want to come cheer me on, I'll be down in Cranbrook next month for the Strongman Classic down there. And yeah, hope to see you there.